Well, good day and welcome to you. It is actually the last day of 2021. So, wherever you happen to be hearing this video, whenever you happen to be hearing this video, I want to wish you a Happy New Year. And I hope that 2022 is just a little bit better than 2021. I'm keeping the bar low. You know what I mean? I don't want anybody to get disappointed. No, I hope 2022 is a wonderful year for everyone, yourself included. All right, now, my name is Gary Willing. Want to welcome everyone to Search for Signs. And as always, I want to point out to everyone who cares to hear this, if you've heard this information dozens of times, or if you're hearing it for the very, very first time, I hope you take the time to check out the links that I provided in the description portion of this video, because I do think the best thing that any one of us can do upon hearing this information is to learn more about it and then see if there's any truth to it for ourselves. And then you can really and truly make a better educated decision on how to proceed for yourself. I think if you just kind of shut this information down without really taking the time to investigate it for yourself, you really are doing yourself a tremendous disservice. But, it's for each and every one of us to kind of see the truth in this information or not. And I do think the best way to do that is to educate yourself better. So hopefully you'll take advantage of it. And then if you are looking for a link to start off with, I do recommend starting off with the Share International link, because you can get more information there in one spot than you can from all the other links, I think. But you can do whatever you want to do. All right, now, I do have some comments to cover, and I always want to encourage people to comment, encourage people to post their questions as comments, or you can always email me at searchforsigns@mail.com. And then if the comments or the questions are relevant, well, then we'll take a deeper look at it, and hopefully we'll learn more about it. All right. This one isn't really necessarily that relevant, but it did make me laugh. This comment comes from Noamir Araulo. Am I pronouncing that right? All right. This is very, very fake news. I don't know why that made me laugh today, but it did. I needed a good laugh today. So it's not just fake news, like Donald Trump always says. It's very, very fake news. All right. Well, he likes to use the word very a lot too. So always with the big words. It's either fake news, a hoax, a disgrace, a hoax, witch hunt, fake news. I mean, it's like, take your pick. He just interchanges all the words whenever he wants to. So now I understand why you don't believe what I have to believe. I just found it funny that you use the word fake news. That's all. So anyway, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. And I was like you, actually, believe it or not. The first time I heard this information, which is when I read it in Benjamin Creme's books, I didn't believe it. I didn't use the word fake news, but I just said, I don't really agree with this. And I kind of went on with my day. Didn't think much of it. Later on down the road, I don't know, a week or two, a month or so later, whenever it was, I can't remember exactly when, I picked the book back up, started reading it. It made a little bit more sense. I put the book back down, that kind of thing. And I did that for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. And then it started to kind of ring as true. And then this information, once I applied it to myself, I saw how it was changing my life. And that's, I think, probably the best way to approach it, is to learn more about it and then see if there's any truth to it and then apply it. So I understand where you're coming from. Now, this person had a much different initial response to hearing this information. This is coming from Vanessa. It was different, and she's responding to what I had just said when I talked about it in the video that she's commenting on, that I didn't believe it right away, is what she was saying. But she said, it was different for me as I recognized Benjamin Creme was speaking the truth the moment I had heard him on the radio. I was agnostic, and I prayed for some truth in this messed up world. It was my good luck that the next day hearing the message. It sure was another thing trying to share it with others. I'm sorry to laugh, but I feel your pain. But I tell everyone when I have the chance anyway. You're right, the people of faith that I've run into are the most skeptical. I suppose I understand. Keep up the good work, Gary, as I was a bit down and your message today lifted my spirits, Vanessa. Well, you're very kind for that. I'm sure it wasn't me, but I'm sure it was the information that gave you a little bit more hope. That's why I like talking about it as much as I like talking about it, because I see the same news that you guys see. You know what I'm saying? I probably go to a lot of the same YouTube channels that you do when it comes to getting my news and getting different viewpoints on news. And I look at both sides of the issue when it comes to politics and so forth. And telling you, if you don't have a lot of hope, you can get really down real quick. So anyway, that's why I hope this information's a little ray of sunshine for people, at least. Even if you don't believe it 100%, if it gives you a little bit of hope, well then, I think I've done a pretty good job. So thank you very much, Vanessa, for that. Now, in terms of the people of faith being the most skeptical, are they the people of faith, or are they people more of conditioning and dogma? I guess is the way I would look at it. I would say they're probably more people of conditioning and dogma than people of faith, But the values that Maitreya is talking about that we all need to look at and we need to work on, his priorities, right? The ending of hunger, the bringing about of justice, the need for peace, the need to end all war forever, to save our environment. These are values I think we should all share, and we should all be sharing, but that's the reason why we're not doing anything on it yet. People don't see the need to do these things. Some people even see it as evil. It's really wild, to me, to live in the world that we're living in, where, it kind of goes along the lines of what was said in the Old Testament. People interpret it to mean, they always say in the end times, it says in the Bible, in the end times, woe are those who see good as evil and evil good. It doesn't say the end times. It just says, woe are those who see evil as good and good evil. And that could apply to any time, really. And all throughout history, you can see that, where people thought early on in American history that slavery was good, that dehumanizing Native Americans was a good thing, right? And that they were good people, and they could go to church, and they could do those kind of things, even though they were perpetrating this tremendous evil on these two large groups of people, right? And you can see it even to today, where groups are dehumanizing in their speech and their rhetoric other groups of people. I see it all the time in the United States. I don't know if you live in the United States or not, Vanessa, but you can see it in the politics of this country, where they're calling people demons and satanic. That's the way of dehumanizing a group of people, so that whatever you do to them, whatever evil you perpetrate on them is justified. But it's all throughout history it's like this, And so, but yet the real faith is the faith in humanity, the faith in our oneness, the faith in ourselves as souls. That's true faith. And I don't think that can be skeptical. You might not see the truth in it yet, But if you have true faith, which it sounds like you actually have a tremendous amount of faith, right? It brings you more joy than it brings you fear, for sure. Because when you have fear about something, there's no faith involved in that. That you're kind of at a different part of looking at things, if that makes sense. So anyway, it's like looking at the book of Revelation. If you look at it from a standpoint of joy and love, it is the most joyful book in the Bible. If you look at it from a standpoint of fear, it's the scariest book in the Bible. It all depends on your perception. But, it's the same thing with this information. If you look at this information with joy and love and, you're already wanting peace in the world, well then this fits in very nicely to what you think the world should be doing. You know what I mean? If you are trying to keep everything the same and you don't care about other people and you're only thinking about yourself, well then this information could be the exact opposite of that. It doesn't matter whether you're religious and you see this as an affront to your religious view, or if you are trying to maintain the status quo economically, the need to share. Why would we do that? That's ridiculous. That's what people are thinking. You know what I mean? So right now we are not all sharing those same values, but I'll give you a little spoiler alert. The people who are wanting to keep things the same are going to lose, because that goes against life and the nature of life, which is to evolve, right? It's always been like that. So anytime if you're standing on the sidelines or the side of, I want to keep everything the same at all cost, you're going to lose. And life will find a way, like you said in Jurassic Park, and it will start to push through and it will eventually get moving. You might slow it down for a time, but you can't stop it. And the change that is coming, the change that is swelling up in the minds and the hearts of people all around the world for change and for justice, for peace, for, saving our environment, it's not going anywhere. And it's only going to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And people who love to criticize me for what I say on this channel, one of the things that they'd love to say is, well, people are losing interest in this story. Well, they're losing interest in Share International for sure, because Ben passed away, but Maitreya's priorities, they're not losing interest in that, and those people don't know anything about Maitreya. It doesn't matter, right? But the priorities of Maitreya, the need for justice, the need for peace, the need to solve the environmental problem, those voices are getting louder and louder and louder and louder. And that is the true hope in the world, really, is the people waking up. So hopefully that helps. But thank you very much for your comment, Vanessa. I really appreciate it. All right, now the last comment I want to cover comes from Tomasato. I think the International City Project Auroraville might be a good example. He's talking about the last video I talked about the beautification of our cities, and I read an article from Benjamin Creme talking about that. I went online and I looked at it. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying it is. But the one thing that I would like to point out, okay, is when Benjamin Creme's master talks about the priorities of Maitreya, not one of those priorities really has taken place yet, except for the internet, which is a creation of a pool of knowledge for all to share. We're kind of in the inception stage of what the priority is, right? But the internet is what he was talking about. But it's going to look different, but that's what the internet is. And then when it comes with the principle of sharing, the only time the principle of sharing ever took place was during the Marshall Plan right after World War II. We talk about it from time to time on this channel. So all the other priorities, the beautification of the cities, the free interchanges of the people, the principle of sharing, the need for justice, none of that has taken place yet. And not saying it won't take place in the future, right? But the cities that he was, talking about, the way that he was seeing, and I hope you go back and either listen to the video that I put up, or better yet, go to the Share International site and go to the tab that says Articles by the Master and find that article yourself. It's called Cities of Tomorrow, and you can read about it and get a much better sense of what he's trying to say that way. But he was talking about it from my perspective, when I was reading it, was that the cities of today are reflective of the inner turmoil of humanity, the divisions, the greed, the competition, those kind of things, the need to make money, the stress of living and so forth. And the cities of the future will be very different. They'll be reflective of the inner truth that we are all one. There'll be centers of rejuvenation and energy and relaxation, where today there's just about making money or spending money. And that's what he was saying. So I encourage everyone to go back and listen to it if it's something that interests you. Now, I do want to leave us with an article I've read from time to time, but in light of what 2021 has been about and 2020 has been about, if you pay attention to the news, of course, you're very concerned about the divisions in the world, and it shows up in everything, whether it's politics, ideology, different, ideological differences or whatever, right? There's divisions all throughout the world in all walks of life. Now, Benjamin Creme's master talks about this from an energetic standpoint and the reason why it's going on. And if you wait and listen to the very last sentence, this is why this is going on. And you might be like me. You might have thought 5-10 years ago that it couldn't have gotten more divided. The world couldn't have gotten more divided than it was, right? Well, I was wrong. It's gotten a lot more divided. And will 2022 be another year of more divisions? Probably. Will it be more painful to live through 2022 than it did in 2021? It might. But there's a reason why. And there's a good reason why. And it goes back to the very last sentence of this article that he wrote, but I will just say it like this. The generation of which we are all a part is the generation of choice. We have to make the choice whether we get busy living together or we get busy dying together. And it is a choice that we all have to make. And Maitreya is going to present that choice to all of us. But the only way that we can clearly see the way forward is to see the divisions. So couldn't do it if the world wasn't divided. But Maitreya says, the end is always known from the beginning. He already knows the answer to that choice, and our answer makes his heart glad. So, not to be a spoiler alert, but all will be well. All manner of things will be well, as he said. All right, here we go. What did Ben's master say about the sword of cleavage? Again, like I said, we've talked about it many times. Hopefully you'll hear this all the way through. And then if you want to read this for yourself, go to the Share International site, click that tab that says Masters Articles, and read this article for yourself. That's the best way to do it. Many people believe that despite the presence of Maitreya in the world, everything is becoming more threatening and unstable than hitherto. They wonder what hierarchy is doing to ease the many problems and difficulties that leave them afraid and unprepared for the heightened tensions of today. The truth is, the world is being prepared. In times of great tension and change, people look at problems with a limited view, which they inevitably have, of the true state of society. Humanity imagines that all these events have the same impact and importance for the future, whereas the true view, which only the masters can see, is altogether different. The masters see the happenings as if occurring on a flat plane, and as potential only. They know that some will precipitate and affect world change, while others will simply wither away without any precipitation at all. Humanity, with its limited vision, sees all these events as bearing on the future, but this assuredly is not the case. From the Master's point of view, humanity has never been so ready for the new world that the future will bring. It has never been so near a time of inspiration and readiness to work for the common we all. When the Christ said that he would return in such a time as we think not, he would bring not soft words of spurious peace, but a sword, the sword of cleavage, which would separate father from son and brother from brother. It is precisely the action of the sword of cleavage that we are witnessing today. Maitreya's energy of love stimulates everyone, the ones who loves and works for justice and sharing, but also the one who causes the divisions, schisms, and greed in the world. In this way, through the clear opposition created by the sword of cleavage, men can arrive at a true choice for their future, the future of all men, the poor and the hungry, as well as the men of money and the destroyers of peace in the world. And this is what I wanted you to say. Listen to this. Each of us must choose on which side of that division we find our truth. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.